All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you everyone for taking part in our little chat. It's awesome to see how many people are tuning in from across the nation. Canada, we've got people from Michigan, Wisconsin, all over the place. So it's awesome to hear from you guys. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us. So before we get started, I do want to run through a few quick housekeeping announcements. So first of all, obviously, if you guys have noticed, you've all been muted. That's just to cut down on background noise. We do still want you to stay engaged in the conversation, so please do feel free to ask any questions you have or any feedback or comments you have, either in the chat tool that you've already been using, or you can use the Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen. And we will try and answer as many questions as possible during the conversation, and we've also allocated about 10 to 15 minutes towards the end so that we can run through any questions as well. Final point, we are recording this webinar, so if you need to leave a little bit early or if you want to rewatch the conversation, don't worry, we will be sending it out by email within the next couple of days. So with all that said, I would like to go ahead and hand over to Ron Lamb, CEO of Daxco, who will be helping guide this conversation with Rory. So with that, over to you, Ron.
Thanks, Maria. Appreciate that introduction. It is with just absolute excitement that I'm thrilled to bring to you Rory Vaden. Rory is a two-time New York Times bestselling author. He wrote a book a few years ago called Take the Stairs, which is just a terrific book. It's required reading for all of my leaders here at Daxco. And it's the 7 steps to achieving true success. So I highly recommend that. He also wrote a book called Procrastinate on Purpose, which is about time management, and it's 5 permissions to multiply your time to increase efficiency and productivity. Seems like more and more, none of us have enough time to get things done. His insights have been featured in the Wall Street Journal. He's been on Forbes, CNN, Entrepreneur Inc., Fox News, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if he's met Oprah or not, but I bet he has. We'll have to ask him that. He's been a world-renowned speaker. His TED Talk was viewed over 3 million times. And he was a 2-time world champion of public speaking finalist. And listed as one of the top 100 speakers in the world, and is part of the Speaker Bureau Hall of Fame. He's also the co-founder with his lovely wife, AJ, of the Brand Builders Group. And at Brand Builders, he teaches mission-driven messengers. He teaches people who are heart-led leaders. And what he's trying to do is help them influence more, impact their communities more, with what he calls character-driven personal development training. So just the whole aspect of being mission-driven, being heart-led. I reached out to Rory. I explained to him what was going on with this crisis, how it was devastating all of us in our fitness and childcare businesses. And I just simply reached out and I said, hey, would you give us some of your time to help us learn how we can use social media, how we can use the digital economy, how we can build our brand to create influence, because we've got to influence. We got to influence our people to stay with us. We got to influence them and let them know that they will be able to safely return to our centers for fitness or childcare or whatever services we provide. We got to figure out how to win back those we've lost. And you know, we've got to also figure out how to leverage this whole digital virtual world. So without further ado, I want to ask all of you to join me and welcome Rory Vaden to our Daxco family. Rory, thanks for joining us from Nashville. How are you?
Hey, man. I'm doing good, Ron. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, so that's my hometown these days.
Well, as we get going here, first of all, thank you for your time. I know how busy you are. I know you've got a ton of things going on, so thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us some of your valuable time. We've talked a little bit, and we shared with you kind of the different personas of our 10,000 plus customers.
Mm-hmm.
And just, kind of out of the gate, what are you thinking about in terms of, them and this crisis and all of the challenges that they're faced with today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is, my heart goes out to everybody. It's a scary time. It's a challenging time in many ways. Where it's uncertain. I think it's an uncertain time, but where my mind immediately goes for everybody who's a leader, an entrepreneur, running a nonprofit, small business, whatever you want to call it, is that it is in the times of the greatest uncertainty that there is the most opportunity. I mean, if you think about, the law of, there's a law of physics, right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Well, for every challenge, there is an equal and opposite opportunity. And all of business and all of leadership comes from helping people solve problems. And we have a new set of problems that have just suddenly come on the scene, and it's forcing everybody to have to live and work differently. And the natural default is to just be scared, right? Is to be unsure, just to be worried. And it's not wrong to do that. In fact, it means that you have a normal functioning brain to do that. But there is, a trained mind, or a disciplined person, the ultra performers and multipliers, these, top people that we study and look at, they will also realize that there is great opportunity because there's great need. Not to be opportunistic, but to be servant-minded, in the fact that if we can help people solve problems, then we will attract people. And if our business helps people solve problems, then we will attract people. And the need for health hasn't gone down, it's gone up.
Yeah.
So the need for what you do is stronger than ever. The modality at which it is being provided has changed dramatically in the short term, and probably in the long term in at least some way. But I think if you can get out of that shock and you can get out of that fear, and you can quickly go to the place of, how can I help? How can I be of value? What are our members struggling with? What do our customers really need? And what do we have? What tools and assets and knowledge do we have available that we can provide to them and be useful? That business is going to win. That business is going to recover quickly. And a lot of the greatest, there's some really great companies that came out of the last recession because, it's a new way to do business. So that opportunity is there because there's a lot of need.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen estimates as much as 4 to 5 million people have canceled their memberships to whatever a Y, a J, or a fitness facility. Now, I know some of that is income driven. We've got 30 million people in the United States or plus who are unemployed, and for some of them, they don't have that discretionary income. But as you know, the need, and we've seen this disease. People who are in better shape seem to be faring better and recovering better than those who have chronic health issues, diabetes, obesity, whatever it might be. So I think that the burden to be in shape is even higher. But right now, what we're seeing statistically is across all of our customers, the communications keep going down. So from week to week to week, we keep seeing this drop in communications, at least the volume of emails and texts that are going out globally. What are your thoughts about strategies or methods that you would suggest, kind of during this crisis? Because right now, most of our fitness facilities are not open. We're going to kind of start easing into that in May and June. But how would you see methods for, we're in the crisis, and then as we move out of the crisis and we move to kind of this new normal, what are your thoughts and strategies you could share?
Well, yeah. So there's a couple things. I do think it's anchored really, really strongly to the idea of just going, how can I help? What would be of value? Now, I think that the trend of going digital was already happening. What this has done is it has accelerated it with incredible urgency. And so I would be focused, and this is, our clients aren't all fitness. We work with a number of fitness personalities because Brand Builders does personal brand strategy, right? That's what we do is we help them build and monetize their brands. Oh, you cut out. I think, are you on mute?
Yeah, let me, I mean, we just kind of jumped right into it. Maybe take a minute and explain what Brand Builders does. You've had a lot of different successful businesses in your career, but I apologize. I'm like, want to get into some ideas, but just take a minute to tell people what you're doing with Brand Builders today.
Well, yeah, for sure. So we are a personal brand strategy firm, right? And so we work with a lot of influencers, celebrities, speakers, authors, stay-at-home moms that have blogs, podcasters, anybody looking to monetize their personal brand. And so it's not a direct overlap with the gym because we don't do branding for companies. Everything that we do is around personality-driven marketing. And a lot of it is digital. It's building an online following, building an online audience. By the way, if those of you that are on social, if you go to Instagram or whatever, my handle's just Rory Vaden. You can connect with me there. And I have, when we exited our last business, I have been starting all over. I've had to start a brand new podcast, all new social media. I've had to rebuild my whole email list here in the last less than 2 years ago. And so I've been having to redo this myself. And I had, millions of followers and people that I was reaching every week before we sold our last company. But this idea of how do you cultivate an audience? And in many ways, I think what we're doing is we're automating trust. We're trying to create connections with people through modern tools that it's still this human to human bond, this human to human interaction, but we're using digital tools to do that. And then also, so that's more of like the marketing side is going, okay, how do I build a fan base? How do I build an audience? How do I cultivate customers using digital tools that are available today? And there's tons of them, and they work really, really well if you know how to do them and you have a clear strategy, but they're horrible if you try to do all of them at the same time and you get pulled in 1,000 directions and there's not like a clear strategy. And then the other part is how do you use these technological tools to service people? Now, obviously, there's an inherent nature of running a gym or a club or a Y or a JCC that's physical, right? It's the whole concept is coming to a location, but and I think that will return. There's no doubt about it, and hopefully will return quickly. Whenever it does, hopefully it'll come back quickly, and I think there's reasons to think that it will. But it's I think the need to supplement the digital experience is going to be a permanent thing. I mean, look, here we are all meeting on a virtual, platform. People maybe have never done this before. Well, people are starting to realize, wow, I can get education, I can get training, I can do so many things from home using these tools. And so that's going to cause businesses to go, how can we accelerate the delivery of supportive content and experience from home? So home-based workouts, I think in general, digitization is what's happening. And some, we sometimes define personal branding as simply the digitization of reputation. Personal branding is just the digitization of reputation, what somebody would be known for in real life through contacts and trust and networks. When you go digital, it's called the personal brand, but really the concept has been around for decades is reputation. And what are you known for? And how can you serve and build an audience and provide value? So that's kind of what we do is the strategy of it, and then also the execution in terms of these, the tools to get customers and then, or to get fans, nurture them to become customers, and then deliver some type of a digital experience on the back end, either in support of your primary business, or an entirely virtual business model.
Mm-hmm. As you think about the challenge for
methods do you suggest that we employ?
Hey Joe, I can hear you if you want to just jump in.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, please. You have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish yours, and I'll go to mine. I didn't mean to jump over top of you.
No worries. What's a strategy? Because I realize it's a little different, a personal brand, but I think it's not that much different as far as strategies and execution. What are some things off the top of your head that people in fitness and childcare ought to be thinking about?
Yeah. So just if you get into like a tactic here of what we're doing, you mentioned that your data is showing that your users are sending less and less communication. I think that's a kind of a kiss of death. It's like we need to be providing more value. We need to be in more communication, or at least at the same level of communication as we would normally, to stay top of mind. And that's really, really important. And whether that's getting your old members back, keeping your new members in, or attracting new members, marketing in general is just staying top of mind. And so from a content marketing strategy, one of our favorite things to do in terms of simplifying the whole social media kind of process is we use a technique that we call the content diamond. And there is this challenge of going, how do I, because it's overwhelming, right? It's like, okay, well, like, I don't have time, and now I probably have less staff even, right? I probably had to lay off people or furlough them, or, so maybe you have less time. And you probably have more time. You got less staff. But you go, how do I keep up with podcasting? I mean, and YouTube and Facebook and TikTok now and Pinterest, and, there's so much to do. And so one of our favorite things, and this is a super simple idea, is that we encourage, business owners to create one piece of content every week that is like a 5-minute video. And that if you follow this content diamond process, what you'll do is that will fill the entire content calendar all for the entire week. And actually, I'll pop up a little diagram here. I think it'll help everybody kind of see this. All right. So the concept of this content diamond is to spend more time repurposing content before just creating new content. And so I think people get overwhelmed because they're like, I can't keep up with all these different social media sites. Like, I don't have that much time. Well, the way that this works is like, so it's super simple. We say, first of all, pick one question to answer. So what is one question that your members have? What is one aspect of their health? Could be diet, could be fitness, could be recovery, could be stretching, could be muscular. Like, just
right now, I think top of mind is safety, right? Is because people are scared.
Yeah. So you can talk about, making sure you're having, whatever. Anything related to cleanliness. But, if you just list out 52 questions that my audience has, or that my prospects have, or that my members have, this will fill your entire content calendar for a year. So then what you do is you spend 2 minutes preparing what you're going to say. Not 2 days, not 2 hours, just 2 minutes. And then, there's a simple formula that you can use. We call it QAC. It's just, this is going to be the outline of your video. Question, answer, call to action. Question, answer, call to action. So you talk about and then here's what you do. You're going to record 3 minutes on the problem or the question, right? So another way of thinking about this would be problem solution. Call to action is go, here's the problem, right? When it comes to your diet, blah, 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 or your flexibility or endurance, or, when it comes to working out from home, yada, yada, yada. And then you're going to list off the problem. And then you're going to spend maybe a couple minutes talking about the solution. Here's my quick tip. Here is my idea. Here is my strategy. And then the call to action is going to be anything from, share this post or leave a question below, or head over to this, to our website to buy a special deal, or to gift a membership to a friend, or whatever. So a call to action could be to buy something, or it could just be to create conversation and engagement. But the point is that, and this, we do this on our phone, right? Like I literally just take out the phone, talk for 3 minutes, blah, 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 blah. And then that video becomes the top of your content diamond. Now, if you really want to get engagement, you could do that as a live, like you would go live on Facebook. If you're nervous about going live, then you could just record it on your phone and you could like do a few takes. But once you have the video, you have the top of the diamond. Then what you're going to do is you're going to, and technically I would say this too, Ron, is technically at this point, the business owner, or the executive director, or whoever the face is, or whoever made the video could be done. Everything from this point out could be done by an intern or an assistant or the marketing coordinator or whatever. But basically you're going to take that video down, and then we're going to upload it to a transcription tool. So our favorite tool is rev.com, R-E-V, or Temi, T-E-M-I.com, and you upload this video that you just recorded. It's going to spit out a transcription. Okay, so it's going to take what you said, and for like a few bucks, not even like, maybe a few dollars, it will transcribe everything you just said. Then you take that transcription, and that is going to head down what we call the text and imagery path. Somebody is going to edit that transcription, and they're just going to make it coherent because the spoken word isn't quite the same in written format. But somebody's going to polish that up into a full-length article. And now that video that you recorded becomes a full-length article that you can post on LinkedIn, particularly in the Pulse section of LinkedIn, which is LinkedIn's built-in blogging platform. Medium is another place that you could post if you're familiar with Medium, or you have Medium and you post the full-length article. But the other thing that you're going to do is whoever's editing that article is going to strip out one or two of these image quotes. So they're going to take like the key idea, and they're going to take that one sentence and they're going to make that into an image quote. And I could show you like an example of how we actually do this. I'll give you the overview, and then I'll show you in real life. But so now you have this image quote. That image quote you can post on Pinterest and on Instagram. Simultaneously, while that is all happening, you're going to create a video and audio path where you take that same video that you recorded, and then you send it to a video editor. You have someone on your team, grab a teenager, someone who's can edit, and they might they're going to take that sort of raw video and they're going to make it a little fancy. That just means they might put a little intro on the front. Maybe they'll put some royalty-free music underneath. They might, drop in some quotes on the screen to highlight like whatever you're saying. They can put funny backgrounds behind you. They can do, like a lower third that introduces your name and your position and your company or whatever. But they're going to clean up that video, and then they post that full-length video to your YouTube channel. And so now you got this nice, clean, polished video on YouTube. You can strip the audio off of that video. So now that you've got this nice video, you can easily strip the audio out of that video and upload it as a short form podcast. So now all of a sudden you have a podcast. Then the same video editor will create a 60-second version of that video, and they post that to Instagram. So now you have your image quote on Instagram from this path, but then you also have a video, a 60-second, a shorter version of your full-length YouTube video on Instagram. You can also post that same video to TikTok. So that's one of the things that we've added to the process here recently. So what you're doing is you created one piece of content. It took you 5 minutes, but now your brand is going out across the web without adding any additional kind of content creation to the strategy. Now, the key here is ultimately you want to bring all of those assets together back on your blog. So the only place that people can get all of these things together is on your blog. So you're building your profiles on social because you're playing in these spaces, but you're still, ultimately, we want to drive our audience back to our website. And for us, we really encourage the blog, just not for blogging's sake, but just to use it as a central repository. But you never want to build your audience on rented real estate. And if you build your whole company on Facebook and then Facebook changes the algorithm, you're hosed because you don't have that, relationship. One of the great things about Daxco, right, is you guys do so many of these communications behind the scenes that help people like pull all this together. But this is it, conceptually, is you now have all of these little assets created from one piece of content distributed across the web. And I'll show you, you want me to show you like a real life example of like what this actually looks like?
Yeah, I think that would be terrific. We do
Okay.
have members of our audience that have dedicated teams in social and digital marketing, but the vast majority do not. And I've had conversations. I won't mention the name, but it was a lady in the martial arts community, and she's got a couple of black belts, so I definitely won't mention her name. But we sat through a presentation, a marketing presentation. It was not from Daxco, it was from a different company. And I went up to her afterwards, just we happened to be in the coffee line. I said, "What did you think of that?" She goes, "You know what? It was really, really great, except for one thing." And I said, "What's that?" She goes, "After about 30 seconds, I had no idea what that person was talking about." Because I don't know what a blog is. And she starts naming SEO, SEM, blah, blah, blah. And so this person talked in, our language.
So high level, yeah.
And he's like, "I don't have a clue." And frankly, that occurred about 2 years ago. And one of the things was like, I'm like, you know what? We got to go solve that problem. We got to translate this and make it easy for our customers. So yeah, if you could walk through the example, and I think just for those people who may be like her and be a little scared of asking a question like, what is a blog and what is Instagram? Just take us through that. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, totally. And there's no silly questions, right? Like, I mean, I'm still very much learning things every day that I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you could do that. Yeah, and I think if you see a real life example, so you understand the high level kind of strategy, and I'll show you, how it works in real life is to go. Yeah, so let me just share my screen here, and then I'll show you. Like, so if you go to roryvadenblog.com, that is my blog, and so I share tips on leadership, personal development, personal branding, leadership, and productivity. And there's a little free video course there too. So if you go to roryvadenblog.com, you can actually get that free kind of stuff, and you'll see how I do this. But a blog is basically, you have your website, so you've got whatever pages of your website, but a blog is just, it's kind of like if you were a news company, you think of yourself as like a media company. This would be like your company's channel. And so you're publishing content, and these are all the things that are going on. Well, it's just a place, a repository. Blog comes from web log. It's like, think of it almost as like what a physical diary would be to a person is kind of like what a virtual blog is to a company. It's like, these are the things that I'm thinking about, that I'm working on. But the point of a blog is to not tell people everything that's happening in your company. The point is to put out information that's useful to people. And if it's useful, then people will come to it. But like, if you look as an example, so I record a video on my phone, and that's how it would start out. I'm just going to pop open so you can see Yeah, well, I'll show you. Okay, so I'll just show you. This is my blog. I'm going to click on my most recent article, which was about stress, right? And it says, better organization is not the answer. So what happened was I recorded a video on my phone. We uploaded it to rev.com and it got transcribed. And then someone on my team just came in and cleaned it up. So this is my voice, but I didn't technically write it. They transcribed my voice, somebody edited it, and now I have this nice, quick little article all about how gratitude will be a more powerful response than to stress than like trying to control stuff. You know, that's the idea of this little article. Now, right here, this is the little pull-out quote. The highest response to stress is not more organization. The highest response to stress is more gratitude. So if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see this is that post. So when we're using the content diamond, and I said, all right, let's, they transcribed it, they took it out, they posted it here, and then the actual, like the caption, it gives them like the first part of the article, but then it says to see the full-length article and video, visit my blog. So it leverages the power of a social media site. I'm producing original content on their site to serve them and their audience and for me to grow my audience there. But ultimately, I'm trying to bring people back to me so that I can convert them to my various products and services. So this part's like a little teaser. So this is like a little nugget and then a little teaser. Now, the original video that I recorded on my phone, and let me do this. Let me share. I'll play this so you can actually hear like a little bit of it. So this was, can you hear that, Ron? Okay. So this is a little fancy intro. It's loud on my end.
Stress.
It's loud for all of y'all.
Stress is something.
So that was just a fancy intro that we designed once, and every video we start has that. So it makes it real polished. And then if you listen here, there's music underneath.
That we all have to deal with.
That's royalty-free music that we go
no matter
download.
Who you are, or what business
this is stock
you are
imagery.
in,
You don't have to
going
do this.
have
This would be
stress.
like pretty high-level production.
If you have kids,
but
you know what it feels like.
You go to these libraries where you can download stock video imagery, and they're dropping it in. But I'll show you
to take care of your kids, but also
the
to
original video,
to like grow your career, and there are
so here you
healthy
go.
ways to respond to stress.
So that was the original video. This is the way it looked as I recorded it on my phone. But then they dropped in, this music, a few little images. Here's some this is called lower third text.
Not so healthy.
And there's so many tools
to respond to stress. But what I
want
to talk about is
if Daxco doesn't already have it built into the process, like I'm sure you guys could build this in too for people over time. But so that is the full length video right here. So if you go to my YouTube channel, here is, well, I got to figure out where is, so my videos. Yeah, so here is my latest video. So there it is, right? And I just have my YouTube channel organized since I talk about different topics. I got personal development, leadership, personal branding, and then productivity, which easily you could have, it could be diet, it could be immune system, it could be endurance, it could be flexibility. Like you could create, just these little subtopics if you wanted. But the point is now that little piece of content, it was there. Now, so we first on one day, we posted like this was one day, which was the pullout quote. Now this is the exact same video, except it's only 60
that
seconds.
The highest response to stress is
it's literally
more organization. The highest response to stress is more
the full video. So I was done after 5 minutes, but you have your team kind of running and I'm rebuilding my social media following from scratch, as I mentioned to y'all. So like I'm doing this, so this is my profile, it's brand new. but you can see like we're getting hundreds of views already on just people kind of tuning in and watching this. And then coming back to my blog, let's see, what else do we do here? Yeah. So, and then it's the same thing. Like if you go to my Facebook page, there will be somewhere on here, there will be that pullout quote would be one post. And then, yeah, anyways, I think you get the idea, but if you want to see it all in one place, yeah, so this is today's, so this is going back I got to go back a few days to see, but here's another one that's a recent example. But if you want to get it all together, then people come to my blog, and then I I give them a lead magnet to help get them subscribed, so that they're once they become a fan, like once they come to my actual blog, I have their email address. I'm communicating to them every single time, every time I make a new post. So it's kind of like social media are these like satellites that are redirecting, or these tributaries like that redirect people back to the mainstream, which is my blog. And so they're free traffic sources that drive people back to me. And then once you build this just becomes an automated machine that grows and grows and grows and grows. And we repeat it. It's extremely simple process. You just do it over and over again.
Rory, I'd love to ask you a quick question that's come in from someone in the
Sure.
audience, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
She's asked if you recommend posting the same content, that 60-second clip, pull-out quote, across both Facebook and Instagram. What would be your advice for that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So people worry about, oh my gosh, if I'm posting the same content, like, are people going to get annoyed? The truth is that the people who watch, one channel don't watch the other channel as much. And then also because of the algorithms, only a very small fraction of your audience is going to see it anyways. So the likelihood of the same person seeing the same content on both platforms is very, very low. People usually hang out on whichever one is their favorite. And the point is, it's not that one social media channel is better than the other. It's that you want to produce content that is appropriate for that environment. So it's just like communicating, where you don't communicate how you like to communicate. You communicate the way that the receiver likes to receive the information, like in terms of how you speak. But yeah, so I would repurpose that for sure. And I do. Now, if you get more sophisticated and if you have a bigger team, and I'm just going to check and see if I got, let's see if you have my TikTok is, got to see if I could pull up. I don't even know. I'll have to see if I could pull that up. I'll show you an example, but it's the same thing on TikTok too.
Yeah. It's funny because I've got a 25-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 15-year-old, and they all use different platforms, and they do not intersect. And the younger ones, when I say the word Facebook, they just roll their eyes. They just kind of shake their head, and they're like, that's 2 or 3 generations ago. And so I think you got to hit all of those mechanisms to hit those different personas.
And that's the beauty about digital. So even though it's like, gosh, this is hard, it's confusing, I don't know how to do it. Well, everything is that the first time you do it, right? Like, but the power of digital is you can be everywhere. Like, you can reach exponentially more people for only a linear amount of additional extra time.
So one of the things I've learned from you about procrastinating on purpose, from you directly in your book, is leveraging tools and technology to eliminate manual tasks. What's interesting is I talk to my owners and CEOs. Many of them, unfortunately, furloughed 95% of their staff, and several of them have told me, I want to fundamentally rethink building my organization back up. I don't want to just go back Groundhog Day and do it exactly the same way. What is your view on leveraging tools and technology to do a better job reaching, promoting your brand, advertising, marketing, and any other things that you do?
Yeah, well, that's a big one. And that'd be worth a look at my TED Talk. Like if you're looking for ideas on how to multiply time, which is what my TED Talk was about, which is free and that's just out there. But the way that I think about this, Ron, is I was sitting down with one of the wealthiest people that I know. This was several years ago now, and we were sitting at this Starbucks in Cardiff by the Sea, which is like a really ritzy Southern California neighborhood. And out of the corner of my eye, Darren was his name. I'm sitting with Darren, and I noticed this Bentley pulls up like in the drive-through of Starbucks. And I love Bentleys. I think they're so gorgeous. And so I noticed it. And then behind the Bentley, I noticed there's like a Ferrari and then a Maserati. And then I look over in the parking lot and there's like Rolls Royce, Lamborghini. And it dawns on me that I'm in a very different neighborhood than the trailer park in Boulder, Colorado that I grew up in. And so I asked Darren this question. I said, Darren, what do you think is the difference between rich people and everybody else? And he said, well, Rory, it's all in how they think. He said, for example, if I could go into this Starbucks and I could hear the way that people were making a decision, their thought process, I could tell you with almost 100% guaranteed accuracy which one of those people is either already wealthy or destined to be wealthy just by how they're thinking. Because he said, like most people walk into Starbucks and they ask themselves, do I want the coffee? And if I want the coffee, it's kind of like, so this would be like lower middle class thinking, is they walk in, they say, do I want the coffee? Yes. What do I have to do to get the coffee? And they're governed by short-term impulses. They'll do whatever it takes to get the coffee. They'll beg for the coffee. They'll steal it. They'll put it on a credit card. Like, I just want my short-term coffee. But most people don't do that. Most people are very logical. They walk in and they ask themselves two questions. Number one, do I want the $5 coffee? And if the answer is yes, then their second question is, do I have $5? Do I have $5? Which is, I remember telling Darren, I said, I don't get it. That seems like a perfectly fair question to me. And he said, it is a fair question. Like, there's nothing wrong with that question. He said, but that's not how wealthy people think. He said, the way that a wealthy person evaluates that decision is altogether differently. A wealthy person knows that if they spend $5 on this coffee, that's $5 they're not investing on something else. And I said, you're talking about opportunity cost. He said, yes, but there's more to it than that. He said, because a wealthy person knows if they were to invest that $5 instead of spend that $5, that because of compounding interest, that $5 would grow over time to be worth more than $5. So not only would you have the $5, you'd have more than $5. And as a quick math example, he said $5 invested at 8% return for 30 years would grow to be worth about $50. He said, so a wealthy person's second question is totally different. Their question is not, what do I have to do to get this coffee? And their question is not, do I have $5? To a wealthy person, they ask themselves, is this $5 coffee worth $50 to me 30 years from now? What? I mean, that's crazy. That I had never heard anything like that. That was a totally different way of thinking. Well, now you might be watching, right? And you're listening, you're going, okay, Roy, well, what does money and rich people and compounding interest have anything to do with what we're talking about? And that's a good question, because it wasn't obvious to me either. But then when I was writing Procrastinate on Purpose, I'm sitting there writing the book, it literally hit me that automation is to your time exactly what compounding interest is to your money. Automation is to your time what compounding interest is to your money. Just like compounding interest takes money and it turns it into more money, automation takes time and it turns it into more time. Because anything that you create a process for today saves you time tomorrow, because tomorrow the process is doing the thing. And this is why I think DAXCO is so important, and it's such a cool role that you play. Is the purpose of automation isn't to get rid of jobs. it's to get rid of tasks. So that it frees up people to do more creative thinking, so that it frees up people to build relationships, so that it frees up people to be with people and do people things rather than task things. And even like this little content diamond process, right? It's not really automated. That's more of what we call delegate, which is one of the parts of the focus funnel. Again, check out the TED Talk if you want the free highlights. But this concept, I think, is so important. And in a digital world, which is where we've been going, and we just stepped on the gas pedal. Like things will get back to normal from the standpoint of like, we'll go back to work again and like we'll have business. But I think it's going to change business forever. Like in the future of business belongs to people who understand a digital game and can leverage the power of tools and technology, not to replace people, but to replace tasks so that you can free up your people, so that you can spend more time with your customers and build relationships and build connections and train and motivate and teach and hold people accountable and do the human things and let the business grow itself using more of like these automated processes. So I think that automation is huge, and there is so much opportunity right now. And look, this is the time to be doing it, right? Like while you're sitting at home and you're not going into the gym every day, you can be building funnels. You can be building social media processes. You can be recording videos. You can be, creating courses. You can be uploading content to, what is it? SugarWOD, right? You guys have your whole SugarWOD thing. Yeah. I would be pumping out content to that thing as fast as possible. Like creating workouts and going digital. It doesn't mean that I'm never going to have a gym again. People are still going to want to go to the gym. There's power in leaving the house, getting free, the accountability of being around other people. And even though you don't talk to anyone at the gym because that's not allowed, there's still power in the group, motivation of being there. But as business owners, it's like, we got to leverage the tools of technology to take away the mundane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're seeing that with the virtual workout experience, workout at home. I suspect that's going to be a permanent part of our future in the future for everybody in fitness. No question about it. Well, thank you for sharing that. Do you have time for some questions? We've had some panelists throw in some questions. Are you okay?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yep. I got, and I would also just throw out too, like, again, if you go, send me, leave a question and a comment or DM me on Instagram or something. Instagram is the one place that I'm actually, and then also at my blog, right? Those are where I personally am at. So if we don't get to your question, you can hit me up on Instagram or at my blog.
Excellent. Well, a couple of them as we were talking, one was, is branding all social media and technology based? What about branding within the four walls of your business?
So to me, branding actually has little to do with technology. To me, branding is, what do people think of when they think of you? That's what a brand is. It's like and I think it's very closely to reputation. What do people think of when they think of you? I think of personal branding as just the digitization of that. But branding is about impressions, and you don't control your brand. Your brand is what other people think of when they think of you. You can influence that heavily by how frequently you communicate to them, how consistent your messaging is, how clear your messaging is, and just sort of like the sheer volume and velocity of how many people know about you and talk about you. That is what creates brand. But in terms of, so I'm not sure I fully understand the question of branding inside of the four walls, but if you're branding a, I think it's like you brand individual programs, like, right? Like you brand your certain classes, each instructor that teaches, like, 30-minute abs class, that person is like a sub brand of the overall brand. And so, the way that you hire and select people on your staff, those are all things that contribute to your brand that I would go, it doesn't have anything to do with digital. It's more about like culture and people and what we believe. But again, the sum total of that is, what do people think of when they think of us? And that's what branding really is what type of experience do we want to provide? And I think, and this is part of why I think branding is so important right now, is you go, if our gym is just a place to work out and that's all it is to people, we're going to be at big risk because there's a million other things people could do and other places that they could go. But if our place is a place where they go, these people provide value to me to help me be healthy. These people take care of my kids. These people know my family. These people, encourage me. They encourage me. They entertain me. They educate me. They care about me. And here's the beautiful thing about right now is, even though you can't see your customers every day, you can still care about them from home because of digital tools. You can let them know, I'm thinking about you. You're important to me. I don't know if we'll ever do business again, but I wanted to give you a couple ideas to do with your kids to stay healthy, or a couple things you could do, because if you're at home and you're watching Netflix all day, you need to remember to stand up and stretch, right? Like, you can care about people even when you're not profiting from them. And, that hasn't changed at all with COVID-19.
Yeah, for sure. Got another question for you. What is it when it comes to producing content? What is the one tool you could not live without?
Clearly my phone. Like the phone.
What's the next tool?
Well, yeah. So I don't know if they're looking for like a technical thing, or if it's like the content diamond does not survive. It doesn't work without that transcription piece. And so using like rev.com or temi.com, like some type of transcription tool, is a real game changer, because it drives this text-based creation. And I know this is where we get into a little bit of fancy speak, right? But like Google can read text. It can't listen to a video. So like when you record a video, Google can read the title of that video, but it doesn't know what's on the video. But when you transcribe the video and you put the words on the page, now Google can read the page and they know what that page is about, which drives, something called SEO, search engine optimization, which just basically means your website becomes more findable. And for most of you, you don't have to be number one on Google for like, CrossFit. It's more like CrossFit Nashville, or even more localized than that, CrossFit Brentwood, or best CrossFit Brentwood, or martial arts. And really you're playing. And so when I would, if it were me and I was creating content for my gym, I would really focus on like dropping in local keywords, because, primarily you're selling memberships to a local community. But again, as the world goes virtual and goes more digital, that could really change. That could really change a lot. And then you go, well, yeah, I'm competing. But so anyways, I think that one is that's a pretty critical tool.
We've been talking about the diamond content. Thank you so much for sharing. What are your thoughts about how we can go after people we've lost or other businesses have lost? Like I said, there's probably 5 million orphans or jump balls out there.
Yeah.
That is a huge number. What are you thinking about that you would use beyond what you've shared now to try to attract new people?
Well, here's the thing that I think a lot of small businesses failed at. I know not every business here is small. We have some massive businesses that you guys represent and support. But where people failed was they never got all their customers together in the first place, like on Facebook. I'll give you a great example. So we pay every month to be members of the Nashville Zoo because I have a 3-year-old son and a 10-month-old. And we love the freaking zoo. Like, it is the coolest thing. The Nashville Zoo is really awesome. Of course, the zoo is closed. Whoever runs the zoo, I don't know who this was, but somebody was brilliant enough to go, hey, people are probably going to look at canceling their zoo membership. So what did they do? They started every day an 11 a.m. live feed where they feed the animals. So they just go live on Facebook, and here's the tech that supports the whole thing. It's a private Facebook group. And they invited all of the people in their database to be in their private Facebook group. So if you're an active member, you're in, and then when they go live on Facebook, they just go live, but only to the private group. So it's only the members who can view this. So, and they're sharing, like, things that are happening with the animals. And of course, the kids are at home all day and parents are going like, gosh, dude, give me something to like occupy my child for 30 minutes. And this is incredible. And it's part of our schedule. Like, it's part of our routine. Just by going, how can we be useful? So the idea to me there is gathering your customers in one place. Like, if you haven't done that, not just email, but going, what can I do to get people to follow me somewhere, right? And you go, if you're going to use Facebook, and Facebook is powerful because of it has the groups feature and it has the live, is you can do a contest, and you send an email to all of your customers and you say, hey, we are starting a private group for our members only so that they can share their home to do accountability workouts from home, and so that our trainers can do live broadcasts to you, and whoever was my Saturday 30-minute abs person can come and lead the class, and we're going to lead the classes using Facebook or maybe something that Daxco provides, but and incentivize people to join, to go, look, here's how you enter the contest. You got to go click this link, ask to be a part of the group, and then leave a comment in the group that says whatever, and then we'll do a random drawing for a free t-shirt or for a free gas card or, a free water bottle or free protein.
Membership fees for a month.
Membership fees for a month. Like, but now you've got, you're part of the power is in the community. Yep. And it is getting those people together, and staying top of mind. Right? Like, because they're getting value, even though they're not coming to the gym. It's like, how can I create value for them? I can continue to give them education. I can continue to give them encouragement. And, hey, if we can use SugarWOD, or we can use a private Facebook group or something to do live workouts and home-based workouts. And I'll tell you what, man, if you can occupy the kids somehow right now, that is a freaking gold mine. Like, ask yourself, what problems do my members have? How can I be useful? What can I do for them that would be useful? And if you can, come up with something, then, I think you're going to be on a good path. So anyways, start with getting your existing people, and then you could do the same thing for, in terms of the orphan folks. If you're running the content diamond, you're going to naturally attract people. And the only thing I would add is I would use hashtags like cities, like Brentwood. So it would be like, home, Taekwondo from home. I might start a hashtag like Taekwondo from home, and then hashtag, Looseville. And people will start following. The other thing is trying to do local influencer campaigns, is figuring out, like, there's a bunch of people, like in Nashville, there's this woman, I don't even know her real name, it's Happily Gray, but she's like huge influencer, and she's, like all the local Nashville shops, whether it's the Jew shop or it's, the workout, like a workout company, they all try to do promotions with her to try to get them to talk about what they're doing. Or you can go live with them. You can do a split live and just like provide education and value to the audience. But I think, virtually you can educate and you can encourage. Those are things that you can do virtually right now.
Well, I have to say, you have educated and you've encouraged all of us. I've been taking notes feverishly. I hope that our audience has as well. I think that the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months are going to really have a huge burden on us communicating and educating. DAXCO as a whole has been pulled together a cross-functional group of experts to build a reopening guide to safely reopen our facilities and our childcare, and what are the best practices. And so what we're hearing in the community is a lot of people are just plain nervous. And what we want to do, and where the content diamond fits right in the wheelhouse, is figure out ways to communicate this to our communities, that you can safely and really minimize the risks of getting this disease, but you can safely return. Because the other side is, if we don't go back and we embrace physical fitness, mental well-being, I think there's some real downsides to that as well. I know my own physical fitness, I'd be embarrassed if this camera was a little lower showing my I've grown. But yeah, we gotta get back at it for sure. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And as I said at the beginning of our broadcast, these are required books for people to read who spend any time. Or on my leadership team, we just went through this one a couple of months ago. For those in our audience who've not read those books, I highly recommend them. And then I also encourage everybody to log in. Rory sends out very inspirational messages and videos on a regular basis. I'm not ashamed to admit I steal your thoughts regularly.
Nice.
And forward, and I don't steal them. I just forward them, share them within our leadership team. You've been a great friend and a source of tremendous inspiration, and can't thank you enough for sharing with our community.
Well, thank you, Ron. And, if anybody wants to talk, like if you go to freebrandcall.com/RV, freebrandcall.com/RV, we do free strategy calls for small business owners who are like looking to kind of like really get their mind wrapped around some of this. But yeah, I want to encourage you. It just, it will get better, right? It will get better. It probably will be different a little bit, but it will get better. And yeah, I would echo right back, you and the whole DAXCO team. Like, I know that you care deeply about serving your customers. You guys do an exceptional job, and I know that's only going to get better and better and better. And so, I can't think of a better tool or place a suite of tools really to be using to grow a membership based, health fitness kind of business than working with you guys. So anyways, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, Rory. Give my best to AJ, okay?
All right. Likewise to Christy. Bye, man.
All right. Take care.